Hey, what's going on? My name's Hayden Crabtree, and today we're going to be talking about the top 3 real estate investing opportunities of 2022. Number 1, Airbnb. All right, so as we all know what Airbnbs are, at least I hope you do. If you haven't heard of it, it's where people take their house or whatever kind of cool property they have and they rent it out just like a hotel room, right? So originally the intent of Airbnb was to allow people who have extra space to generate some sort of income with it. If you had a extra bedroom or something like that, that was the original intent of Airbnb. Well, it's really morphed into this beast that we all know today. You know, and Airbnb is not the only one. There's VRBO, there's Vacasa. It's just short-term rentals. Short-term rentals is really the opportunity. I just think of Airbnb as being the biggest player in that space. And what people are doing now is really cool is they're designing entire properties to be Airbnbs. And we have everything from just basic houses that rent out nightly or weekly or whatever to full-on experiences, right? People are designing properties to be awesome resort-like properties that people can rent out for a day and a night, a week, a month, or even more than that. So Airbnb is really morphed into this really cool opportunity. Now, the good thing about Airbnb is because there are so many different strategies is that you can get into Airbnb, and this is the first pro of being an Airbnb or short-term rental investor, is that you can really start being an Airbnb investor with not a lot of money. And the good thing is if you go out, you can buy a house through an owner-occupant loan and put down 3.5% or 5% and get into properties for really low money. But then the thing is you have to go through and you have to actually furnish these properties, okay? And so if we think about that, it allows a really great opportunity to use alternative debt as a method to get into real estate investing. And so what I mean by that is it's a lot easier to buy things for inside of your property like decorations, couches, furnitures, all of that on a credit card. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but you can actually buy real estate on a credit card, or you can buy improvements that go into your property on a credit card. And a lot of credit cards, business credit cards especially, they have 0% interest, and it's a really cool way. If you don't have a lot of money, this can be a really powerful way is to use credit lines in order to help you build out a property like this, okay? The cool thing about Airbnbs or short-term rentals is that you can actually get started with not a lot of money, and they're very, very high cash flow properties. So if you're on your journey of saying, hey, I want to reach financial freedom, the main thing you need to be focused on is cash on cash. And I've seen a lot of people getting 100% cash on cash, meaning all the money they put into a property, they're getting back inside of year 1, right? And so the Airbnb short-term rental experience is really unique because it's very, very high cash flow for the amount of equity that's required to get into these deals. And so that's great, right? If you're trying to reach financial freedom, the main thing you care about is receiving high cash on cash. That's what moves the needle towards financial freedom. Another pro is that you don't always actually have to buy the property. So there's this deal out there called rental arbitrage, and what rental arbitrage is it simply says that we're gonna go out and instead of buying a property, we're going to rent a property, right? And I'm gonna rent a property. Let's say I go and I rent a lakeside house for $2,000 a month. Let's just say that's what I can go out and get it for. Let's say that I go through, and I've got to put down $2,000 for my first months of rent, and then I can take a credit card and I go out and I buy all my furniture on that credit card. So I'm out of pocket on this investment $2,000. Now, with that being said, instead of paying a mortgage, I'm going to be paying rent every single month. Okay, so I still have a monthly expense of $2,000, but I want to turn around instead of actually living in that house that I rented, I want to actually Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental that house, and hopefully receive more than $2,000. Now this is where underwriting and analysis and all that comes into play, and that's where it's really important to know your numbers. But let's say that you could go put that thing on Airbnb and generate $5,000 a month, and let's say you have $1,000 a month of other expenses. So we have $5,000 of income, we have $3,000 of total expenses. That means we have a cash flow of $2,000 a month. And remember, we didn't actually buy this property. Okay, so that's called rental arbitrage. Very powerful, alternative way, kind of creative deal structure in order to start generating cash flow, okay? Now you need to make sure that whoever you're renting the property from knows that, they're fully comfortable with it. You can't just secretly do this, that's not right, and I don't think that it's legal, okay? Now let's talk about some cons of Airbnb, okay? So Airbnb is not what I think of as a wealth builder, okay? So whenever I think of wealth building in real estate, I think of really we'll say three main things. Number one is cash flow, which Airbnb does provide, but the two other things are adding a lot of equity to the property, okay? So whenever I invest in commercial real estate, what I like to do is I like to buy a property for $1 million, okay? And let's say that the property is generating NOI, right? Net operating income. That's income minus expenses equals NOI. Let's say it's generating $70,000 a year of NOI, okay? I like to go buy those kind of properties, and let's say I can buy that property for $1 million. And let's say that I know that the rents on this property are below market, and I can take that NOI, or let's say that I don't even really move the NOI. Let's say I can move the income up, $50,000. Okay, so I'm gonna move the income up $50,000, and I'm not gonna add any expenses. I'm just gonna raise the rents on there, and that's how I'm gonna raise the income. Okay, and so this is just an illustration, but we're gonna raise that NOI from $70,000 to $120,000, and then the process of adding just $50,000 of extra revenue, that's $50,000 of extra cash flow, which again you can do in an Airbnb. But then when we apply that same cap rate, right? Let's say it's a 7% cap rate. Whenever I do $120,000 divided by a 7% cap rate, that's gonna be a $1.7 million property. And so I bought it for $1 million, I only added $50,000 of revenue, and I made $700,000 of equity. And so that's really the second way that I think of wealth building in real estate. And then the third way is through tax benefits to make sure that I'm not paying any taxes on all the money that I'm generating. And that is very powerful in bigger commercial deals as well. And so I think of Airbnb properties, there are, I think it is 7.9 million Airbnb listings, okay? That's a lot of people out there doing it. The ability to get into it is for sure, and the ability to cash flow is without a doubt, and billions of dollars are running through Airbnb's platform every year. You can make great cash flow, but you're not gonna build a whole lot of wealth, because at the end of the day, you still have a house. A property that is valued based off of a fair market value. It doesn't matter if you can make a house generate, $100,000 of rental income, that house's value is not gonna change based off of what you're doing in the business that you're running inside of it. And so I think of Airbnb more like a business inside of real estate. It's still a great opportunity. Yes, I do think it's still real estate investing, but I don't think that it's a great wealth generator, okay? So the other con is that Airbnb business, right? I want to call it a business because businesses require a lot of active management and or a lot of really good systems. And so Airbnbs is not like, normal regular rental property, because I think of that as a very passive activity. It requires more energy in buying the deal than it does ongoing running and managing the deal. But Airbnbs require a very active ongoing management of your people coming in, cleaning the property, make sure it's in good shape. That is an active business, and that is definitely one of the cons of being an Airbnb investor. One of the next cons is, we just said it, 7.9 million listings out there, okay? And so a fun fact, 7.9 million listings, only 5.9 million of those got at least one booking, which means 2 million listings did not get a booking, okay? And so there are 2 million people out there who got into Airbnb, who thought it was gonna be awesome, who did not know what they were doing and didn't make any money and are severely disappointed. Okay, and so the point being is that you have to know what you're doing. You can't just buy any random house, put it up on the Airbnb market and expect to cash flow $5,000 a month. It's not gonna happen. You have to have, if you look at a lot of the successful Airbnbs, they have really good locations, really great views, or really cool properties, or a combination of all three, okay? And so if you're getting into Airbnb, you have to know what you're doing. You can't just expect, really like anything, you can't just expect to dive in and it to be really, really easy. Thank you so much for watching. There are 4 ways that I can help you on your real estate journey if you enjoyed this content. Number 1, you can have a free copy of this book in PDF or audiobook. The link is in the description. It's a bestseller. Number 2, you can join my free Facebook group where we're constantly adding value in your life in the real estate world. Number 3, you can watch my free training, how to acquire your first investment property in the next 90 days. The link is in the description, absolutely free. Number 4, like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us grow this so we can get access to more influential people in the real estate world to come on this channel and share their knowledge with you. I hope you like this video. Check out some others on my page, and I'll see you soon.